to the Philippines. After completing her INSEAD MBA in France and Singapore, she worked in British Petroleum or BP Singapore as a management consultant, being the sole Filipino in BP's in-house consulting group covering its global portfolio. She moved back to the Philippines in 2015, where she led process improvement and automation initiatives in Shell, including integrating BG's payroll, finance process, post-Shell's acquisition. She is currently Filipino Shell's corporate controller and investors relations manager, and has recently delivered its first ever management day, where it shared the company strategy and targets from 2021 to 2025, attracting over 120 participants. Outside of her work, she is an interviewer for INSEAD MBA applicants in the Philippines and mentors other young professionals on career development. Let us all give a hearty welcome to our speaker, Ms. Angelica Castillo, CFA, CPA. Hello, Angelica.
Hello, DJ. Thank you for your kind words, and good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed an honor to be here with you all. I just hope that I can be an instrument to inspire you all to pursue professional development.
Right, and maybe call on Joshua so that we could start this interview and
Okay,
moderate.
sir.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir, DJ. Hello, Ma'am Angelica. Good
Hello,
afternoon.
Joshua. Good afternoon.
I am very thrilled to have this opportunity to ask you this question in person. And as a student, I know it will be beneficial for us in developing our professional career. So, Miss Angelica, I have some question for you. Why did
Okay.
you pursue finance?
Okay. I have to say I really enjoy numbers. Hence, for college, I applied in DLSU's accountancy and UP's chemical engineering course, and the latter being influenced by my dad as he worked for Shell's refinery. Fortunately, I was able to get in both schools. So a week before I had to choose the school I'd go to, my dad toured me again in the refinery facilities. However, as we walked around, I just couldn't picture myself working under the sun, wearing coveralls, safety shoes, and helmet every single day. So my decision to pursue accountancy was further reinforced when my aunt brought me to the Enterprise Center in Makati. Coming from the province, I was just amazed by the beauty of the building, coupled with the professionals I saw wearing high heels and really nice corporate attire. At that moment on, Joshua, I immediately told myself that this is the type of work that I want to be in, and the rest is history. But probably on a
Oh,
more serious note, probably just to share with you, my love for finance started in high school. Then I really enjoyed solving accounting problems. However, upon graduating, I decided that I'd actually prefer solving corporate finance issues more than auditing. Plus, I wanted to think outside the box in all instances versus checking if the books adhere to accounting standards. So after passing the CPA board, when all my other classmates were insisting that we all work in audit, alam mo na, sama-sama, friends eh. I went against the flow and pursued a career in MA instead. And looking back, I think one key advantage that I had was the opportunity that Shell gave me and my sister when we studied abroad for over 4 years, when my dad was assigned in Thailand. This experience actually spiked my interest to keep on learning from different cultures, which in turn gave me the confidence to express myself, including speaking to people regardless of nationality. And it actually also opened my eyes to the significant number of Filipino professionals who chose to share their knowledge and skills outside the country. This actually instilled in me a bigger purpose to learn the global best practices to the extent I can possibly achieve and give back to the country by helping groom future leaders, which I hope I'm doing right now. Hence, even as a new joiner at my first job out of college, my more senior colleagues will often push me to take projects with foreign clients as they prefer dealing with Filipinos only. And this turned out to be an excellent opportunity for me to learn how foreign executives think and be provided with more complex engagements. However, despite this exposure, and probably sharing with you why I decided to pursue my professional development through CFA, I felt that I needed to further hone my skills and go beyond the firm's M&A SNOPs. And this is, in my mind, needed in order for me to provide valuable advice in the deals that I handled. Hence, after browsing through the numerous exams available for finance professionals, I decided to take the CFA exams as it was fully aligned with what I felt was lacking at that time in order for me to reach my career aspirations. After becoming a charter holder, I felt that I needed to further hone my management skills as I knew that in the long term, I wanted to become the chief executive of a firm which can contribute to nation building. Hence, I pursued my MBA at INSEAD. And to learn the global best practices, I became part of the internal management consultancy group of a multinational energy firm in Singapore as soon as I graduated from my MBA. And when I felt that I built up the necessary skills that I needed to deliver value, I went back to my purpose and went back to the Philippines to join Shell. So probably just to give you an overview of what I'm doing, I'm currently the corporate controller investor relations manager of Filipinas Shell. And we actually sit in a very unique position because it's rare for you to see a listed multinational in the country. In fact, for Shell alone, there are only 3 other listed Shell companies across the globe, apart from Shell PLC. While the Shell Group is listed, the dynamics of their investment market is very different from what we have in the country. Hence, locally, we cannot just simply adopt what Shell Global is doing in terms of managing their IR practice. And we actually had to start from scratch when we first listed in 2016. And the beauty there is since we're starting with a blank slate, we can actually mold the IR program to what we envision. However, the challenge is which is very critical when I first joined, is we had to help the management team understand and appreciate the implications of becoming a listed entity, which entails a complete change in mindset. This, for me, Joshua, makes the role both exciting and challenging at the same time. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Actually, ma'am, I was confounded with your thoughts a while ago. And thank you so much, ma'am. Even if you achieve your dreams already, you still keep striving and striving. And it is true that we still need to seek for more professional and personal growth. And with your experience, ma'am, what do you consider as the highest achievement in your career?
Hmm. Um, there are a lot of moments in my career that I feel grateful for, Joshua. But one that stood out was winning Filipina Shell's first ever Gold Stevie Award for innovations in investor relations in Asia Pacific. It is an award that evolved around the management of investor morale through digitalization, where we strengthened our digital presence and where we delivered timely content to demonstrate our recovery, our strategy actually during the height of COVID-19. So when the pandemic started, our team aimed to immediately come up with a transparent and timely narrative that will address investor queries and concerns, including identifying the best platform that can reach the investment community. Because obviously, face-to-face meetings just disappeared. So we had to find something else. And it's really about putting into action flexibility, resourcefulness, and our agility to protect the company from this unprecedented event. And I think it was also through this where we showed our ability to immediately gather our management team to assess the situation and identify strategies and tactics that will allow us to surpass and thrive the pandemic, including supporting our employees and our contractors. And I'm proud to say that because I have a very strong team behind me, all this were done and communicated via the various channels at the time that when we were all locked down in our homes.
Okay, ma'am. I know pandemic brought many problems to us. And for me personally, I would like to congratulate you for all your achievements. And I know you will achieve more in life. And I am confident that your achievement will serve as an inspiration for all of us.
Thank you. I hope so too, Joshua.
For the
Including
next
yourself, of course.
oh, you're right, ma'am. I will learn a lot. I know it. And for the next question, ma'am, how were you able to achieve your role you're in now?
How am I able to achieve the role I'm in now?
Yes, ma'am.
So are you referring to what I did to help me be in the investor relations role and what
Ah,
techniques I potentially used?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me see. There's actually a number of techniques that I used, and the technique that I applied is actually dependent on the situation I was in. However, I think I can think of three major techniques that will work regardless of the situation, which I think you can apply not just at work but also at school. So the first most important technique is motivating my team and the people I work with. For me, this is important in order for me to deliver what is needed as a leader. Mind you, when I was much younger, and even now, I'm not always able to get this right. So it's always a learning process for me. But I continue to work on this through the help of my mentors. Our former Filipina Shell CFO, Jen Pascual, actually shared with me a very important concept in motivation. According to him, I don't have to motivate people because they're already motivated to begin with. The question is whether or not they would want to do what I want them to do. To get this right, he shared with
Yes,
me the
ma'am.
acronym ARC. A stands for autonomy. This means that there's a psychological need for people to make their own choice. Hence, when leading a team, even though I know the answer and the direction that I want the project to head to, I try not to just dictate and impose what needs to be done. I actually ask people for their thoughts and ideas so they'll feel that they're co creating the project rather than just following you blindly. Doing this doing it this way will actually instill ownership and accountability. And the plus side here is because of people's creativity, you'll soon realize that better outcome can be obtained if you sincerely ask for people's ideas. Next is R for relatedness. This is a person's psychological need to be part of something bigger. Hence, rather than informing people of their specific tasks and just dictating them what they need to do, it is also key to share with them the full picture, the end goal, the ultimate strategy. What is it that we really want to achieve? This way, everyone will know the exact implication of their contribution in helping the entire team to reach the objective. Finally, C for competence. There's a psychological need to constantly grow. If your team feels that they are no longer developing or learning from their role, motivation will just be lost. Hence, for me personally, I try to see to it that I'm able to fully understand my team's aspirations, including their areas for development. This will enable me to include them in either projects or enroll them in trainings that will help them close this gap. And I think, Joshua, in my experience, when done this way, people will be more enthusiastic to cooperate rather than grudgingly doing something for compliance. In the end, if you do this correctly, targets and objectives can be optimistically achieved. Mind you, this concept also applies to yourself, even as a student or as an individual. If you feel that you're demotivated by the circumstances or leaders you're under, address these 3 points and do not wait for others to simply do it for you. The second technique that I use is I try to genuinely build connections and relationships within and outside work. Enhance your relationship with others by being genuinely interested in them. Shell actually gave us an opportunity to attend a Dale Carnegie training, and according to Dale Carnegie, change indifference to rapport and compliance to influence. According to him, enhancing relationship is the foundation to become a more influential and highly respected leader. I've actually personally experienced the benefit of this technique because when I was much younger, my focus sadly was to only get the job done without regard to genuinely knowing the people that I work with or meet. In my mind, chit chatting was not very good use of my time, especially if I have numerous deliverables with very tight deadlines. I turned out to be very wrong though, and sadly, I learned this the hard way. However, what I can say is when I practiced this technique to genuinely know people, I saw people becoming more enthusiastic to get the job done, and the feeling of hostility just melted. Furthermore, it helped create a culture that will entice people to speak up and share ideas. In fact, others even volunteer to be part of the projects I'm leading without me even asking. And to make the relationship even better, ensure that you also give timely, honest, and sincere appreciation. And for your orgs, Joshua, ensure that you give credit where it's due. And third, and most importantly, the final point that I use is, which is something really that becomes an outcome of the first 2 points that I mentioned, is to build credibility and trust. These are the things you need to earn and not simply ask for. You can achieve this by constantly developing yourself, by being truthful and ethical in your words and deeds. And of course, constantly delivering on your commitments. Hence, in all the roles that I've been assigned on, I always aim to deliver my best because this is key. Because your delivery will really speak for itself, even if you're not around, and will be remembered when an important job opening comes up.
Thank you so much, Mom. To all participants here, I would like to summarize everything Mom given to us. So first, we need to motivate our team in order to work and to have an efficient teamwork with them. Second is to genuinely build connection outside work. And the most important is build credibility and trust. As we all know, the CFA society embodies highest form of integrity and ethics in their life. And Mom, as a student leader, I can really relate myself to your discussion a while ago because as a pandemic strikes, our momentum in serving the students really went down because we need to shift from physical activities to online. So it's gonna be it is hard for us to shift from that kind of situation. But from there, we brainstorm and we share different ideas because we build our organization with a lot of unique ideas so that we can have or we can pursue a good event. So for the next question, for the follow-up question, Ma'am, could you share with us what you have learned or you wish you'd known earlier in your career?
There are actually two notable learnings. First is to not allow people to dictate what you can and cannot achieve. I think this is very relevant, especially for students fresh out of college or young professionals, because in my experience, when I just graduated, I was very new in the work I was in. I was too naive to be too concerned about the opinion of my superiors at work. Hence, when a superior, a lady at that, told me that I should lie low and let the men in the firm talk and lead people, since women, according to her, are not expected and should not be too assertive in the workforce, I actually came to a point where I started doubting myself and questioning my ambition to lead bigger teams. At that point, the term women empowerment was not as well known. Now I've learned that it's definitely okay to listen to feedback and advice as long as that will help you develop and become a better person and not hold you back. The second learning that I have is I wish I learned the importance of having mentors to guide me with the decisions and the challenges that I experienced at work much, much earlier. As young professionals, I think, at least from my experience, may be different from for your generation. Yes. It's typical for us to run to our friends when things don't go our way. However, it is critical to speak to someone who has the immense wisdom and experience so we can obtain sound advice we can apply in the issues we face.
Okay, Ma'am. Thank you so much. And I know it's for us as a student, it is hard to us to know what would be our dream because there are a lot of opinions surrounding us. So it is on us to filter out those feedback and select which will apply to us. So for the next question, Ma'am, what work do you do and how did the CFA program curriculum help you in your career?
Thanks for that, Joshua. I'm currently the Investor Relations Manager and Corporate Controller of Pilipinas Shell Petroleum Corporation, one of Shell PLC's 3 other listed entities across the globe. When I go around to meet other IR professionals, they are actually very surprised that I'm also the corporate controller of the company because in their respective companies, IR professionals just focus on investor relations and nothing more. Though this indeed entails more work for me, I would say that this is also beneficial for me since as corporate controller, I am also the integrator of the various businesses within Shell. As such, I have end-to-end visibility of the key projects, operational and financial performance, and most importantly, the strategy of the entire company. Hence, since I know the impact of our actions on external perceptions, I can also drive optimizations across the company. As such, a basic expectation from the role is to have an in-depth understanding and appreciation of the businesses, their plans, strategy, and delivery. So even though you may think that this is a lot of work, which it is, by the way, don't allow me to undermine that. In my mind, these are all essential exposure and information that I need in order to perform my job well as IR manager. This way, when I discuss how our mobility or B2B businesses are doing, for example, it will not be superficial because I know exactly what's happening on the ground, including the wisdom that goes behind their plans. Aside from this, Josh, I'm also the secretariat for our board audit and risk committee. And of course, that's on top of delivering the regulatory reports such as the 17A and Q reports and the audited financial statements, to name a few. My other role as the investor relations manager, I drive the strategy of the IR practice. I actually assumed the role 6 months from the date of listing. Hence, the initial strategy I did then was to establish a single source of truth for the information we'll disseminate externally. I also launched sustainable new practices to better reach the investment community. In IR, we also write the press releases and news updates and highlights that we share externally and post via our website. Last year, I also integrated and challenged the businesses to share their long-term plans so that we can deliver and package a unified strategy from 2021 to 2025 that we marketed and shared to the investment community. Of course, it's a given that as IR, I speak on behalf of the company in dealing with investors and analysts. But apart from that, we also equip our management team with facts and pitches that will enable them to consistently deliver the Shell story when facing the investment community. Finally, it is also my role to provide external feedback that we've obtained via the IR line to the board of directors, management team, and other business leaders to apprise them on how we are perceived externally, of course, and identify strategies and tactics that will help further improve the perception. Of course, the peculiar thing here is, of course, not all recommendations are followed or will be allowed. Hence, it is also my responsibility to make the most out of the permitted tactics. On your second question, is it how did the CFA help me with this? Correct, Josh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think it would be fair to say that I will not land this role if not for the knowledge that I obtained from the curriculum. Aside from the experience I gained from the companies I worked for, I can personally attest that I was more confident in answering the job interview questions because the CFA program clearly shared how the financial markets work, what buy and sell side analysts look for, and what qualities to look for in an investment. This knowledge not only helped me in the interview, but also in how I execute my role. And I think another point I can add here is the CFA program also enabled me to coach my direct reports on either IR or corporate finance matters. I mean, even now, when stuck with evaluation decision, I can always go back to the curriculum to recheck if I'm doing it correctly. Finally, and most importantly, I think you have alluded to this earlier, it's easier actually to point out to external people to do the right thing because of the ethical framework embedded in the curriculum. This role actually helped me better appreciate and utilize this section as it has direct application with the people I deal with, Joshua.
Okay, ma'am. I know the CFA program helped you with the knowledge. And in line with this, ma'am, can you share with us the most confounding ethical situation you encountered in your career? And of course, how does CFA program help you solve that?
Okay, I was very young when this happened. It's one of my first jobs when I straight from college. So it was this point in time when I was tasked to evaluate the fair value of the acquisition of several hospitals across the country. This was a huge client for the firm I worked with, and my boss wanted to make sure that first and foremost, the client is happy by concurring with the significant amount of goodwill that they recorded for the acquisition. I think I was level two. I was taking the level two exam then. However, based on my analysis, the client significantly overpaid as majority of the acquired hospitals are loss-making and will continue to be in the red indefinitely, which in my opinion, based on my analysis, necessitated a number of write-offs in the books. My boss, concerned about the revenue we will be losing, we will be generating from this client, wanted me to keep this to myself, saying that if I share this might cause us to lose this client. Knowing that this is unethical since the ultimate parent of the company is a PLC and the investing public should be apprised of the correct value of the companies they're investing in. Against my boss's will, I proceeded to share my analysis to our clients, CFO and VPs. Through objectivity and guiding them through the basic valuation principles and of course our responsibility to the investment community that can be found in the program, I was able to successfully convince them, executives particularly, to do the right thing.
Okay, ma'am. I know it's very hard situation for you knowing that it is the decision which really matter when you will gain revenue or not. And of course, if it is sounded to, good to be true. And of course, we need to do the right thing in order to get the
Exactly.
client, because opportunity doesn't lie by deceiving them.
Exactly.
Thank you for that, ma'am. And next question. What are the top 3 factors to succeed in the investment management industry?
I'll probably take this from the point of view of an investor or a portfolio manager, Joshua. I think it's
Yeah.
better to position it that way versus IR. For me, because it's definitely broader, for me, it's very important for you to determine your client's risk appetite while balancing this with their return requirements and any cash flow needed. For me, do not place your money or your client's money in risk investments that they cannot afford losing. Second is, do not make investment decisions based on hearsay. It's very important for you to build on your competence so you can make sound decisions. And it's also very important for you to be in the know. Make sure that you are well equipped with current events and corporate announcements in the country and the world, of course, that can potentially affect our markets. In line with this, keep a close relationship with and of course, constantly communicate with the IR group and management team of the companies you have a stake on or or you're planning to acquire in the future. And finally, and most importantly, be ethical at all times. You should be able to place the integrity of our profession and the interests of your clients above your own interests. The CFA Code of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct is an excellent benchmark that investment professionals around the world should use.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Angel. According to you, we need to determine your client risk appetite and don't make an investment decision based on hearsay. And it
Correct.
must be objective and based on our confidence. And lastly, the most important, as a CFA charter holder, we need to practice ethical at all times. So I guess is there any questions from our participants? And if you have one or any, you can set it here on our chat box. So, ma'am, personally, I have a question for you. So you said you're really good at numbers. That's why you pursue this career. So what would be your suggestion to those people who really don't come along with the numbers?
For me, Josh, what's important is what makes you happy.
Yes.
I decided to be in the position where I am at now because this is an opportunity that makes me happy. And I feel that I'm able to practice what I've learned, whether in college, CFA, or MBA in my current role. So I'm not saying that because I'm in this role, everyone should aspire to be like me. No, it's not. It doesn't work like that. For me, it's about really reflecting and really looking into what you want your future to be like, and determine within yourself. I mean, speak to your mentor, speak to your family, and determine what will make you happy as a professional, and strive to um, pursue that, and I determine different steps that will allow you to achieve that, Joshua. So it varies per individual. There's no single recipe to achieve a specific role. It really depends on your personal likes and dislikes, Joshua.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. And regarding to that, ma'am, what could you suggest on our first step as a graduating student in pursuing this kind of industry?
Um, for me, what works is I was very clear with my vision, but I have to be very honest and upfront that during my first 2 years upon out of college, I didn't know what to do. I just knew that I didn't want to do audit as an accountant. But I mean, the exposure that I had, so whether that's with clients in my first work doing M&A, or the people that I met with, the executives that I met with, it actually kind of showed me the way that, or the journey that I want to be in, um, little by little. And I think what also worked was I looked into the different people, so role models across work. So for me, at that point in time, the role model that I saw was my mentor. He was our former CFO. So I tried to check what he's doing that made him superiorly excellent in what he's doing. And he even became CFO of the year of Phoenix. So that kind of helped me determine the next steps that I should take. And I think as students, that's very critical. Find yourself a role model that you'd like to emulate, and then look into what that person holds, or the skills and the skills and the competence that the person has, and strive to be like that person. And it also pays or helps to speak with that person, Joshua,
Oh, ma'am.
and really know different steps that the person took to achieve where he is at now.
Oh, it sounds it's like it motivates me because the first time I stepped my foot during in the CFA society is during the PGFIS, which is the convention or the congress for the student, and I really don't have any idea what is CFA is, and I just volunteered myself in that event because I like volunteering in many seminars. So from that moment, actually, it made my heart and it made my mind that I want to pursue this kind of career because, as we all know, finance industry is very, very vague and there's a lot of opportunity in here. So it really motivates me to become one of the CFA charter holder because of you embodies the highest form of ethics or being honest to your work, and that's what really motivates me because this community really offers the best and give the best decision, but doesn't will not of course will not deceive its client.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you captured it perfectly, Joshua. Exposure is key,
Yes,
because you'll never know what's out there for you to achieve if you just confine yourself within the classroom or within the specific work that you're in now.
yes,
Exposure
ma'am.
is key. Mm-mm.
So we have a question here from Neil Salvacion. Hi, Miss Angelica. Thank you for inspiring stories. And thank you for your inspiring stories about yourself. I would like to ask, what is the fallback of going to the top?
Fallback. Neil, do you mean the downside?
I
If
guess, ma'am.
Yeah, I think it's downside, no. So for me, it's actually based on your perception. Some people think kasi that if you reach the top, you'll no longer have time to do personal things, or of course, since you'll be given a number of responsibilities with so little time, you'll be able to lose out on other things, whether that's family, personal life, etc. But for me, Neil, it's a matter of perception. It's a matter of time management. So fallback here is, or the downside here is, if you don't equip your team well, if you don't upskill your team to do the work for you, or to enabled your team to help take things for you and complete the different tasks at hand. The difficulty there is you tend to take in your personal time. So for me, it's very critical that in order you have to be able to assess the different opportunities that may take in your time and identify what the upskilling that's needed across the people that you work with in order for you to spend more time with your family. Because I think that's what I hear most of the time with the people I spoke with, that if they go up in the corporate ladder, they just lose out on things. But if you start preparing ahead of you, you can potentially prevent that from happening, Neil. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for your for answering that question, ma'am. Actually, it is. I felt really grateful to be personally asked you some questions, because it's like what you said to us. We need to look into mentors because we need to seek advices, and it's kind of, you are my mentors and you're just giving me the advice that I need to do in my career, ma'am. So I really think I would like to say really thank you to for the advice. Of course, not for me, but to all participants here in the Zoom meeting. So I guess there's no other questions in the chat box, ma'am. So this would be the last question I will give to you. Do you have any parting words for those who are interested in pursuing career in investor relations?
Sure. Thank you for that, Joshua. So I think TJ shared this earlier, and I think I slightly alluded to this earlier. So in IR, we have to wear different hats. And that's what I love about investor relations. And that's something that makes it exciting. In IR, you have to be a good marketeer, strategist, corporate finance advisor, and an excellent integrator of different groups and businesses, as you need all these insights to provide a holistic and relevant story to your stakeholders. Hence, if you want to pursue a career in investor relations, work on developing the basic skills required so that you will be able to grab that opportunity when it comes. 4 key points I can think of, Joshua.
Yes, ma'am.
First, ensure that you have great communication skills so you are able to impactfully impart your company story to the investment community. So it's actually, I think one example I can share here is the concept of no feel do that was imparted to us by our former CEO in Pilipinas Shell. So according to him, whenever we come up with presentations, it's important for us to really know to apply the no feel do concept, because this will enable you to package your story well. So let me probably connect it with this seminar. Under no, my goal in this session is I want you all to know that you can all succeed in your respective career paths if you proactively develop yourself and apply the management skills and techniques I shared this afternoon. For feel, I want you all to feel inspired and excited about the endless possibilities you can create for your careers if you start working on yourselves now. And for do, I want you to use that enthusiasm to start planning for your future, including identifying actions that can help you progress in your careers, such as taking the CFA exams. And this is needed in order to be competitive in the job market. Again, the concept, no, feel, do. Very, very important. And then I think the second point is you should be able to be quick to innovate and practice creativity and resourcefulness to proactively address varying situations that you'll be in. I mean, Josh, you shared this earlier. This skill actually came in very handy, and actually it was a necessity during the pandemic. And third, build credibility and genuine connections so your external and internal stakeholders will consider you a partner. This is particularly important internally, so you'll get timely and relevant information you need to share to the external community. On top of this, very important, be ethical in your dealings and show that you can be trusted. Finally, have strong analytical skills and in-depth understanding of financial reporting, investment analysis, and portfolio management. This will enable you to know which truths to highlight, including anticipating the questions that will be asked by the investment community, so you can come in meetings prepared. You need all this in order to have meaningful conversations with analysts and investors as they try to build their financial models to value your company. I'm happy to say that all this you can obtain through the CFA program. And reiterating probably the advice provided by my mentor, always be prepared when the opportunity comes. Hence, if you are eyeing a role in IR or controllership, ensure that you are able to hone the skills as early as now. Learn as much as you can, especially in your school, in school now, Joshua and all those who are listening. And of course, in every role that you're performing, and always try to be the most competitive on what you want to do next. And finally, the prestige of becoming a CFA charter holder gives us an edge over others competing for this role in the company. In fact, it may even become your passport to land the role you're eyeing. However, don't let this get in your head. Be reminded of the big responsibilities connected with this by upholding the profession and remaining ethical at all times. I'd also like you all to remember that where you go from there is highly dependent on how you perform and how you're able to showcase your potential. Hence, never stop learning and continue developing yourself. Also, ensure that you're honest and remain humble in all your dealings. My plea to you, Joshua, and the rest is to pay it forward and be an inspiration to others and help create future leaders that will improve investor confidence and financial literacy in the country.
Thank you so much, Mom. I'm pretty sure that the information you provided on us will help our potential employment in this kind of field. And just like what you've said, we should never stop learning. And even the big opportunity comes to us, we should be as ethical as possible. And thank you for that insightful talk, Mom. I believe that is all I have to say, Mr. DJ.
Although I'm not pinned anymore, but thank you, Angelica, and thank you, Joshua. This concludes our webinar. Please expect an email from the CFA Society Philippines for the link to the online evaluation. I hope everybody enjoyed. Thank you, Angelica. You really provided a lot of insights, and it's refreshing to be able to hear your struggles, but also the things that you needed to learn, where you had to go. And those who are unable to answer some of the questions about the webinar and complete the evaluation form will receive electronic copy of the certificate. For our viewers in Facebook Live, kindly look for the link in the comment section after the event. And we would like to take this opportunity to recognize our annual corporate sponsors, our platinum sponsor, Sea Oil Philippines Incorporated, silver sponsor, BDO Capital and FTI Consulting, bronze sponsor, DBP Daiwa Capital Markets and Papa Securities. And again, thank you, Angelica, for being here with us today. Thank you, Joshua, for moderating, and we hope to see you again. Keep safe, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.